Chaplain's job isn't in a building, it's in a squad car, a fire engine, at the yellow tape. It's to take care of men and women who see the worst of humanity, who see horrific things every single day. And at the end of the day, they're supposed to go home and build healthy relationships and be a good parent, a good spouse. Who's taking care of them? Men and women with heart, emotions, and feelings. There are human beings who need to be taken care of and loved. That's my job.
The suspect had guns, and so they couldn't get to him very easily. I believe he started shooting at them, and just being told that my husband was getting shot at, like immediately I panic. Let's see, it was in 2010, so it was a few years ago. But I had just had a baby. My little girl was 4 to 6 months old, and so pager goes off at 2 o'clock in the morning, 1 o'clock in the morning, always. From the get-go, getting on all of his clothing, he's like, yeah, I just don't have a good feeling about this one tonight. I think the boys call it sixth sense. They talk about that they can tell that when something's gonna be serious. And I think at like 4 o'clock in the morning, I got the phone call that said, oh, I'm gonna be a while. There was a shooting, I need to get processed. At this point, I'm a new police officer's wife, so I have no idea what to expect or what's gonna be happening. And I just remember sitting down on the kitchen floor with my baby. I'm like, okay, when's he gonna come home? What's going on? I don't wanna call him because he's the SWAT sniper. I get a phone call from Chaplain Rick, who says, hey, they're almost done wrapping things up. He should be home shortly. Is there anything I can do for you? And that's always what he asks. Is there anything I remember just kind of the relief going, oh, okay, I'm glad that he's on his way home. I'm glad that Rick cared about me enough to be able to call and say, hey, he's coming.
I've been a chaplain for first responders since 2009. Really felt the calling to do full-time chaplain work, and basically became a home missionary. Just raised my own support to be a fire chaplain and a law enforcement chaplain. Forget that first responders are human beings who have feelings, who love, who cry, and they see and go through things that we would go see counselors if we saw them.
It's important for people to remember that Chaplain Rick works as a volunteer for our organization. We're unable to compensate him, but he does whenever we need him, whether it's during the middle of the day or the middle of the night. Chaplain Rick's there for us. We brought Chaplain Rick on to our department about 2 years ago as we start looking at the needs of our firefighters and needs of our communities, and we'd been many years without a chaplain. Just recently I worked with Chaplain Rick on a fatal fire, which is not a real common occurrence here in Fort Collins, and Chaplain Rick stayed to provide comfort to the family, comfort to the neighbors, comfort to our firefighters, and made the critical phone calls that needed to be made, and also worked very closely with myself and others from the department to make sure that the family had everything they needed in their time of loss.
I was on patrol. It was a late night, and I was patrolling a pretty remote part of the county. I came up on a vehicle that was parked on the side of the road.
The deputy was doing a welfare check on a guy parked on the side of the road, like 2 or 3 in the morning.
Immediately I can tell something is wrong. He's sweating, he won't look at me.
And the guy took off, sped off, and wrecked his car. Flipped over several times, landed on its top.
For me, this was really the first kind of incident that I'd had of this nature, and emotions were starting to come up to a place where I hadn't really experienced that before.
The deputy who finally caught up to him, got a check on him, saw a man ready to die. He was not a pretty scene at all.
One of the things looking back on that incident was Chaplain Rick. He showed up. He was able to come into the room that I was in.
I got to go in and sit with him. They put him through a protocol.
It turned out that the driver of the vehicle survived the crash miraculously. It was Chaplain Rick that was the one to tell me that news, as I basically thought that the guy had died.
The emotions that you go through knowing that something you were part of, that weighs on you after a while.
So that was pretty powerful for me, and that will stick with me for a long time.
nice to know that when my husband's in the thick of it, I can call somebody and get an answer.
Chaplain Rick doesn't get paid like we do to get called out at 3 in the morning. When Chaplain Rick's pager goes off, he is going out of a sheer commitment to service and to be there for his teammates.
Chaplain Rick is there for my husband and his team and for our families, and if you can give, I'm asking you to help.
Really believe that the community can also help Chaplain Rick as well in his commitment to service and to continue to be there for us and to be there for the members of the fire department and the first responders in our community. If you go to his website, which is www.rockymountainchaplain.org, you can learn about Chaplain Rick and the services he provides. And also there's a space there if you'd like to make a donation, you can do so.